please. Welcome to another edition of Truth and Rhythm. This is the interview show that gets deep in the pocket with contemporary music's foremost masters of the groove. I am your host, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine. If you enjoy this programming, subscribe to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube, which is where Truth and Rhythm lives, and be an advocate by spreading the word among fellow funk, jazz, and R&B music lovers. Join Truth and Rhythm's membership program through Patreon. You can also submit a direct donation to the cause anytime at funknstuff.net. At that site, you can also purchase the book Everything's on the One, The First Guide of Funk. Shop for official Truth and Rhythm and Funk and Stuff merchandise, and use the Amazon links for all of your online purchases, which allocates a percentage to this show. For those of you who go the extra step in supporting the show, you have my heartfelt gratitude for allowing us to continue to shine the light on those special artists whose quest is to find truth in rhythm.
I am delighted to welcome to the Truth and Rhythm Mothership multi-genre lead and background vocalist and songwriter Paulette McWilliams. Famously Chaka Khan's predecessor with the group Rufus, through the years she has recorded and performed with stars like Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Aretha Franklin, Mary J. Blige, Celine Dion, Johnny Mathis, Herbie Hancock, Whitney Houston, Patti LaBelle, Mavis Staples, Stephanie Mills, Bette Midler, Jody Watley, and many others.
Don't forget Marvin Gaye.
Oh, yeah, we can't forget Marvin. There you go. Thank you. In addition, she's released 4 solo albums, including the wonderful These Are the Sweet Things, which, among other accolades, has made Funk and Stuff's 2023 Top 20 Funk Soul Jazz Albums of the Year list.
Yay.
All that, plus her amazing singing voice, can be heard on more than 600 commercial jingles. Paulette, congratulations on all your success, and thank you for joining the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Scott, and thank you for having me. It's an honor, my honor.
My pleasure, and so glad we could make it happen. It took good things are worth waiting for, and so been looking forward to this for sure.
Me too. Thank you.
So Paulette, going way back early on, you're from Chicago, right? And you started gravitating towards singing at a very young age, and you were, I guess, maybe in talent contests, and you were on that Little Stars show with Sammy Davis Jr., I understand, at a young age. So could you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it was a show called Patricia Van's Little Stars, and it was, I guess, equivalent to maybe American Idol on a small scale. And it was, all of the talent around Chicago and the neighboring area. It was such a wonderful thing to have in Chicago at that time. I was just 11 years old, and just because I was singing so much, I don't know how it came about. I can't really remember, but I do remember them asking me to come down to audition for it. And my mom took me and I auditioned for it. And of course, not of course, it was a blessing that I got on the show. And then on the week, it was on every week. And the week that I was on the show, Sammy Davis Jr. guest starred. And he heard me sing. I came in second place that week. He heard me sing. I think there was a guy who had it was one of those ventriloquists that won. But I think that it was impressive. I know it was impressive for me, but I think it was impressive for him to see someone so young. And I sang, catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Never let it fade away. I sang that. And I actually got second place. I won second place. And Sammy Mr. Davis came over to me after the show and said, gave me his card. He said, "Look me up. You're a great singer." He said, "I love your voice." He said, "Make sure you look me up when you're a little bit older." And I said, "Okay, okay." I held on to that card for a very long time. Yes, I did.
Now tell me, at 11, were you already taller than Sammy?
Oh, I love it. No, actually, I was shorter than him because I
Okay.
looked up to him. In my memory, I was actually shorter than him. That's funny. He was short, but I was shorter. Oh, that's funny.
So, Paulette, as you were then growing up, who are some of your biggest musical influences?
Oh, my biggest musical influences. Wow. Of course, Sarah Vaughan, Aretha Franklin, Shirley Horn, Ella Fitzgerald, Dinah Washington, whom my mother loved, Mahalia Jackson, Doris Day, believe it or not. I loved her because I would see her in musicals and I wanted to sing like her because her voice was so velvety. And it turns out a lot of people say, wow, you have similar resonance to hers. And of course, Sarah, I get that a lot. Quincy said I reminded him a lot of Sassy because the resonance in my voice comes from both my mom and my dad. So they were huge influences for me. Of course, Nancy Wilson later, and so many. Billie Holiday, you name it. Peggy Lee, I loved her. Um, Shoot, I can't think of anybody else right now. Whenever I'm put on the spot, it's like, ah.
You certainly
But
named a lot. I mean, I'm sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were huge, huge influences for me vocally. Yeah.
And which one of them, if or someone else, did you first see perform that just really captivated you?
Well, like I said, I saw Doris Day and Judy Garland. I saw them on TV first because, like we had black and white TV and I would see musicals more than I would listen to radio. And then, of course, Motown radio, I heard a lot of singers that I liked on Motown. But yeah, and Aretha Franklin, of course, I listened to her a lot. Um, yeah. Which one did I see
Ju-
live? I saw Aretha. I saw the Supremes. They were in the Motown Review. I saw Sassy on TV with Ella Fitzgerald, which was unbelievable. And of course, Louis Armstrong. Oh, I loved him so much. And seeing them on television and then seeing the ones that I saw live. I saw Nancy Wilson live when I was really young. I also saw Tina Turner growing up, which she was, it was totally impressed me. So
And
yeah, I crossed all the genres.
yeah, well, that's, so important, I think, to have that so you can
And
kind
Ray
of,
Charles, Ray Charles, loved him, loved him, loved him. Yeah.
and you had a song out really young too, Teenage Dropout, right? What?
Yes, I did. I was a teenager, and Jan Bradley, who had a regional hit, it was called "Mama Didn't Lie, She Didn't Lie." Her manager became my manager briefly for like about 2 seconds, and she wrote that song for me because it was a huge dropout campaign happening across the country. Don't be a teenage dropout. And there was a station in Chicago, WVON, that played my record. And there was another station, I can't remember, but Teenage Dropout was the song that was my first 45 song, 45 RPM record. Yeah, I was maybe 14, 15 years old.
Wow, that must have been a kick.
It was a kick. I was like, I got a song on the radio. I remember when we heard it on the radio the first time, I was screaming. Yeah.
It's like a public service announcement, right?
I know it was. Yeah.
And what were some of your notable experiences that preceded American Breed?
That preceded American Breed. Wow. Um, well, the American Breed was really kind of the launching pad because American Breed we became Rufus. But before that, just little things here and there that would happen in my life musically. I sang on the radio. Al Abrams. I'm sure people don't even know who that is right now, but there was a radio show, Al Abrams Radio, on every Sunday, and I was on that show singing gospel, which I didn't sing in school because I went to Catholic school. So I would sing, hear gospel songs that I love, like "Steal Away," and I sing because I'm happy. The few gospel songs that are now really dated, but they're still beautiful. I would sing on the Al Abrams show, and so those little things help to really form who I am today. All of those things, yeah.
And how'd you connect with the American Breed guys?
Well, I was at the time I was working at the post office just to make because I was old enough, and my so-called manager, who actually wasn't my manager, he would just call me when things happened, called me. I hadn't seen him for maybe a year or so, but I met him actually, and I met Phil Upchurch, famous guitarist at the time, because he's the one who introduced me. But I heard about an audition with the American Breed, and at the time, not well, close to that time, there was a hit record that they had, "Bend Me, Shape Me." Bend me, shape me any way you want me. They had a hit record out. It was a very bubblegum song, but it got to like number one or two on the charts. And I heard that they were looking for two black female singers because they wanted to basically compete with Sly and the Family Stone. And so I went to that audition. Yeah,
And
and
obviously they loved you.
yeah, I sang, excuse me, hold on, I have the hiccups. Excuse me. I sang a cappella. Most of the girls that were there was in Charles Colbert's basement. He was the bass player at the time. And I sang "Fascinating Rhythm, You Got Me on the Go, Fascinating Rhythm, I'm all a quiver." I sang that a cappella, and I got the gig. And it ended up just being one girl, which was me. And we changed the name from the American Breed to Smoke. Found out we signed a deal with Epic Records. Found out that the name Smoke was taken by another group. Changed from Smoke to Ask Rufus when we were in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and that's how it became Rufus.
Do you remember your first show with them? Were you really nervous? And
Oh, I think I was petrified, but I hit it well. I think I hit it pretty well. I'm not sure if I hit it well. I'm thinking maybe I did, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. But yes, it was a college gig, and it was somewhere in Wisconsin. Yeah, I think. We did so many college gigs. I'd be lying to say exactly where it was.
about how old were you when you got with them?
I was in my 20s. I was 21 when I got with them.
Okay. So you didn't have to worry about, missing school or something like that.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
I was out of school. I graduated. Yeah.
So I know that as Ask Rufus, there were a couple of like singles that came out, and I think one maybe
Yes.
was related to a movie or something. And
No, no. We had some singles out, but they were, I don't know, they weren't functified. They weren't really funky you know, as funky as like what they did with Shaka. They were more kind of rock and roll funky. And they did okay. There was one called Brand New Day, because also we had another guy, Jimmy Stella, he was in a group called the Circus from Chicago, and he was the other front person. So it was Charles Colbert who came off the bass because we got Willie Weeks on bass. So we had Charles Colbert as a front singer, me and Jimmy Stella, and together we created this whole sound that everybody loved, and we ended up doing a record, but it didn't do very much. They didn't do very much PR on it.
mm, the
Yeah.
evolution of the group is just fascinating. I mean, it just
Yeah,
went
it
through
was
so
so good.
many stylistic
Yeah.
changes and personnel
Yes,
changes.
we
And
did. Yeah, we did. We went to the south of France, and we were there for 3 months. And we sang in the south of France. And when we came back, the vibe was starting to change. We were getting more into the funk, factor. Chaka and I were already good friends. We were friends before I left. We were friends for like a year and a half before I left the group, before I was ready to leave the group. And I let her know I'd already gotten her a gig with a group called Life that was fronted by Cash McCall, another guitarist. And she and I were such great friends, and we still are to this day. And because I love her so much, we love each other. We have a mutual love. And I remember asking the group, um, listen, I told them I wanted to leave because I had a daughter. I had just had a daughter, and I wanted to stay home with her. I didn't want to be gone so much. And I was getting so much work, jingle work in Chicago, that I thought, well, I can make a living doing this until the right thing happens. And which is really what I did. I sang jingles for Illinois Bell Telephone, Master Charge, a MasterCard, Master Charge at the time, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Coca-Cola, you name it. I sang a commercial for it. Yeah. And that's how I made my living. And then Phil Upchurch, I met in the interim, I met Donny Hathaway and would jam with Donny Hathaway. And Phil Upchurch introduced us and went into the studio and did some songs written by Donny Hathaway and Tennyson Stevens. And Phil Upchurch, who was a great friend of Quincy Jones, sent the tape to Quincy, and that's how the whole thing started. Really got off into a wonderful start with Quincy, because we're talking a period of years that all this happened. And Quincy called me and asked me if I wanted to do the Body Heat tour with him as his lead vocalist. And I was like, yeah.
Mm.
Who says no to Quincy? I mean,
Yeah, I think that was what, like 76?
yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great record too. I really like that one.
Mellow Madness, yeah.
Yeah.
Right after
Um,
Body Heat, yeah.
um, so did you have any idea? I mean, what was Shaka's talent like when you just first knew her?
Oh my goodness. She's always been talented. She's brilliantly talented. When the first time I heard her, I was taking her home. I had a Dodge Dart, and all of the driving rules were not in effect because my daughter was actually, I had her strapped into the front of the car in a little car seat. She was a baby. Anyway, but I heard Shaka was in the back, and I was taking her home, and Stevie Wonder came on the radio. I don't know I love you. I don't know why. And she started singing it. And I literally almost ran into a post. That's how good I was. And I started screaming, you sing like that? You sound like that? Oh my gosh. I just became her champion as far as you know, I don't want to assume that I was her champion, but in my mind, I wanted to help her do whatever I could to get her out there, because she's 4 years younger than I am. And I just wanted to get her on the north side, because she was singing on the south side, but I wanted to get her to the north side where everyone would start to hear her. And that's what happened. When I got ready to leave the group, I told them that I had someone that could really sing, and they had seen her on the dance floor a few times, and the clubs that we worked, Mothers, Rush Up, Rush Over, Chicago downtown Chicago clubs, very famous clubs at the time, always packed. And they had seen her because they knew she was my friend. And they said, she can sing. I said, yes, she can sing. And well, they told me, well, we can't let her in the group just on your word. We gotta, because we were friends. So they kind of didn't trust that completely. They said, if you stay on the stage and show her everything for the next couple of weeks, we'll see. And that's how it started. I stayed on stage with her and stayed with her for the 2 weeks that they asked me to stay, and she was wonderful.
How'd you feel when they started blowing up and having the hits? And, did you keep in touch with some of
Well,
the guys? And
actually, because actually at that point, Al Al Siner was still there. Ron Starkert was still there. Kevin Murphy was still there, and Andre Fisher. We changed players a lot because a lot of the guys in the original group, the American Breed, a lot of Lee Graziano, Charles Colbert, they left. Willie Weeks came in. Dennis Belfield came in on bass, and Andre Fisher was on drums. And so when they blew up, if you look at the first record, you'll see Andre Fisher and you'll see Tony Maiden and Bobby Watson, but you also see Al Siner. Um, and I felt very happy because I was like, there's my friend, and she's, blowing up, and Rolling Stone did this one article on them after Tell Me Something Good. I mean, Tell Me Something Good just put them right over the top immediately. But they went to LA, they weren't in Chicago when that happened. So I was still, when that happened, I was kind of still in Chicago doing jingles when that actually happened. And I felt very happy for her. I mean, I reached out to her. At the time, I couldn't really reach her because I didn't have her current phone number at the time, what was current at the time. And but eventually we got, we started, you know, conversing back and forth and, staying together as best we could. I felt very happy for her. I think she's brilliant. To this day, she's brilliant.
Did you ever get on a bill with somebody else that was also in a show that included Rufus later on?
I ever get on a bill with Rufus?
You
I'm
like
sorry.
performing with Quincy or somebody else? Were you ever on like a bill
Oh,
that
when
also?
I was at the Greek Theater with Quincy, I was singing Everything Must Change, right? And we sang Body Heat. If you're fooling, only fooling, all I ask is why, right? And Shaka walked down the aisle and was like, "That's my sister up there." That's about as close as we came to being together for that. Um,
Funny how
but
the paths, because she later sang
yeah,
on stuff like that, and Quincy produced their
absolutely.
Master Jam album.
And Minnie Riperton and I are both on My Sharia Moore. That's me on there with Minnie Riperton and Leon Ware, and so yeah, it's funny how many times, but it's such a small community, the music community. Those of us that are just doing what we do, we all know and love and support one another. So it was just we're just working and supporting, and we cross each other's paths like ships, ships that pass in the night. Yeah, it was wonderful. It was always good when we saw each other. We see each other sometimes. We'd come in town and she'd go out of town, and we just kind of do that thing all of the time. And we always love seeing each other.
Did you ever have any regrets?
Um, Maybe when I was younger, maybe a little bit. Not really regrets, but wondering if I should have kind of things, but not really because I really am a believer and I'm always where I'm supposed to be. Um, and I had a daughter. Like I said, I have a daughter. And it was really more important her well-being to me. So regrets, no, I always knew because do believe my life has been law of attraction long before that phrase was popular. I do believe that that's always happening for me because I've been singing since I was 2 years old, and God is always sending me things to do musically, always.
Can you tell me, Paulette, what it's like to do a jingle session? How does it differ from doing a regular recording session?
Well, jingle sessions are fast and they are, the clients come in, the advertising people come in with their clients, the actual people that are from the company, whoever the company is that wants you to do the jingle. And they come in and they're in the control room and they're stating what they want. And you listen to what they want, and they give you a paper with the lyrics, and you just sort of give them what they want. And for me, that's what I did. Whatever the producer said, that the producer would always direct me as far as what they wanted because they would tell the producer would relay it to me. And so I always did that. Like I did Budweiser. When you say Bud, You said a lot of things nobody else can say. When you say Budweiser, you've said it all. And it's just like that. It's that fast. And then it just plays and plays all over the country for a long period of time or for however long it's supposed to run, depending on what it's for. And the residuals are always wonderful, because I've been a member of Screen Actors Guild for over 30 years. So yeah. Yeah. I love doing the jingles. It was fun and it was very lucrative. Yes.
Do you get paid more if it's one that really catches on and gets a lot more players, or
Oh
just a
yeah.
flat? Yeah.
Yeah, you get paid more. It just depends on the company. It depends on what you're doing. I always through the union for me. I did Folgers with Santana's wife, China. I'm singing that commercial. Um, yeah, that Folgers spot that paid really, really well. There's some of them. I'm on Stouffer's with. I sang some Stouffer spots with Phoebe Snow. I sometimes I'm singing background. Most of the time I was singing solo. I sang Kellogg's. Kellogg's were, great, great spot for Kellogg's. It was like, if your morning's lagging and your body's dragging, you just can't seem to react. Well, think back, my man, to the way it began. Was breakfast part of your act? See, you can't get by when you're on the fly with a gulp or two from a cup. Cause your energy pool needs that morning fuel. Eat breakfast, don't pass it up.
Nice.
Kellogg. And I've done 7-Eleven. Uh, um, I love the 7-Eleven spot I did. It was called Blue Monday. Don't want to get up and face the morning. Feeling slow, so slow. I just can't break through. Another Blue Monday without you. Oh, thank heaven. It's Monday, 7-Eleven.
All right. You must have had some of these jingles just going through your head all the
Yeah,
time, I
all
guess.
the time.
Yeah.
I did eBay. I did it eBay. I have so many jiggles in my head.
Did they
But
send you a bunch of free stuff?
oh, actually, no, because I did cars. I did Cadillac. I did car jingles. I did American Express jingles. Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Um, what can you tell us, Paulette, about Quincy Jones as just a person and a talent?
Oh gosh, one of the most brilliant, incredible musicians, producers that I've ever experienced in my life. And I was young and I was very green. And Quincy taught me so much. I went on the road with him. I was with him for a little over a year. And we went to 27 different cities in Japan with Frank Rossellino, Wawa Watson. And he would always say, "You remind me of Sarah Vaughan." We did Radio City Music Hall. We did the Greek Theater. We did all the major places in all the major cities. And he would tell everybody in the audience, "This is my new," I don't want to say what he said because it feels cocky. So I don't want to say everything he said, but it was so complimentary. I just felt like I felt like I was in a movie. Like it felt surreal to be with Quincy on stage because he came before the stuff I did with Johnny Mathis, the duets I did with Marvin Gaye. Quincy was the beginning of all of it. So it felt so surreal for someone so young and green. I was so green. And it's not
Wow.
easy being green.
Well, it sounds like he was gentle with you, though, so that's
He
good.
was wonderful. He was so sweet and kind and told me so many wonderful stories. And in Japan, when we were in Tokyo, the last city that we went to was Tokyo. While I was on stage, was about to sing, because I sang a few lead songs. While I was on stage, about to sing Everything Must Change, written by Bernard Eigner. Um, I was, everything must change. All of a sudden for the second verse, I'm hearing, ooh, 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 ooh. It was Sassy standing there with me on stage, singing.
Wow.
I mean, who can say that? What other singers can say that?
So goosebumps, butterflies, everything, right?
Goosebumps, trimming. I mean, I think I experienced every emotion in that moment that one could experience at one time.
Wow. Living
Yeah.
the dream for sure at that point.
Before I even realized, boom, just like that.
And Paula, you had a solo record out in 77, was your
Yes.
first one. Do you have any memories or lessons learned that you took away from that?
Yeah, the members from the American Breed was like, okay, let's do a record, let's do our own record. And we got a deal on Fantasy Records. And but I was so green. I didn't know exactly who I was. I knew I could sing, but I didn't know who I was in a song. When I think about Shaka, she's always been that person and always been straight ahead and that person. I knew I could sing, but I didn't have a focus like I do now. I didn't have that focus of who I was in a song, excuse me. Whereas I think she's always had it, which I think is so awesome. But I mean, I'm a late bloomer when it comes to that kind of thing. Yeah, and I'm grateful for it because now where I am right now is I'm doing the very music that I love, which is a combination of everything. I think a great musician is always genre-less. Yeah.
What I did like about that first record, though, was Chump Change. It had a kind of a funky Rufus feel.
Yes,
And,
it was, yeah,
you
jump
had the
change.
Tower of Power horns on there, too, on that
Yes,
record.
we did. Yes, we did. Al Siner wrote that. Al Siner could be so funky. He was a guitarist, great, great writer. He still is. Thank God he's still alive and a wonderful person. Yeah. I love Al.
What can you tell us about Marvin?
Oh, it's like asking me, what can you tell me about the most wonderful man? Um, I looked upon Marvin. It was another surreal experience. I've had many surreal experiences in my career so far. And I'm actually having one kind of right now too, doing what I'm doing with FUNKNSTUFF. But Marvin was loving, just like Quincy was loving, warm. I felt like he was a big brother to me. He was so kind. He gave me so much freedom. He never tried to limit me on what I sang with him. I mean, and I would ask him, am I doing it okay or what? He said, baby girl, just keep doing what you're doing. And Quincy used to say the same thing to me, baby girl, just do what you do. And I wasn't always sure what that was. But Marvin, they all instilled a lot of confidence in me that I didn't really have.
Was he the greatest male singer you ever encountered, or
Oh, let's see, I can't see. I also sang with Luther.
I know?
So, so I'll put it to you like this. There's no other Marvin Gaye, there's no other Johnny Mathis, and there's no other Luther Vandross. They're all very unique. They all belong in their own ballparks, period. And that's what I feel about Aretha and Sarah, Peggy Lee, Doris Day. You can't repeat magic. And that's how I feel about singers with that kind of magic. You can't really repeat Shaka. You can't, and those that try, they fall short because they're not original. So to me, it's all about the one thing I love about Anita Baker, who came a little bit later. She was Anita. There was no one that she tried to copy, really. And to me, that's what makes a great artist is when you're really more committed to being who you are, then that's what you get to the audience. So yeah, that's what I
Mhm.
love about Marvin. He wanted me to be who I was.
So it took you until what, 2007 for your next solo record. So you waited quite a ways, right?
Well, it's not that I waited. I was singing a lot. I was singing on people's records,
Right.
taking care of my daughter, singing jingles all over the place. I lived in Chicago. I lived in New York for 20 years, and I lived in LA. I sang on records with the Brecker Brothers, Irene Cara, a lot of stuff that's not even talked about or not even in my what do you call it? I can't think.
Discography.
Thank you, my discography. Yeah, not even in my discography. There are lots of things that are there. I sang on Chick Corea stuff. I sang, like I said, the Brecker Brothers, Patti LaBelle. Luther had me on Diana Ross, Whitney Houston, of course, that people know about. I'm singing on that record too. Aretha, Billy Idol. I'm singing rock and roll. David Bowie. I'm singing on David Bowie stuff. So and I sang with Emerson, Lake and Palmer on the on a song a soundtrack that we did for Sylvester Stallone for Nighthawks. I sang on that with Emerson, Keith Emerson. So I've had an incredible career. Wasn't really about waiting. It was just doing what came up. Yeah, I would get called for things so much. Thank you, God. That I just kept, working and working and not thinking about it so much. But always being creative, always thinking of songs and things like that, but never, you know, I just never thought of it in a way like I'm waiting. I never thought of it in that way. I just
It
kept
felt
working.
felt felt organic and natural.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes. I was a
yeah.
harlot with Bette Midler, right after I did Johnny Mathis. I was a harlot. No, before I did Johnny Mathis, I was a harlot with Bette Midler. Yeah. So it's all good. And then after Johnny came Marvin, in between. And at the same time, I met Luther in 1980. We were both behind Bette Midler singing. So, so I never felt like I was waiting for anything. It was always good stuff happening. Thank you, God.
Well, you mentioned so many great ones, but two more that I have listed here that I love also, Mavis and Al Green. So,
Oh, yeah, that's right. I sang on Al Green stuff. I sang on Mary J. Blige. I was a contractor for Mary J. Blige. I sang on Mavis. I actually co-wrote a song for Mavis Staples, which was on her album produced by Prince's company called The Voice. I have a song on there that I wrote and sang the demo for, and she put it on the record. It's called Why. Why is the grass always greener over on the other side? And why does the sound of rain falling make me feel like I want to cry? I love that song so much. Yeah.
mm.
And she sang the mess out of it.
Yeah, I like the stuff she did on Prince's label. I don't think it got the right
Yeah. That's
promotion, but
on.
yeah.
Yeah. We wrote that song. Ivan Hampton and myself. We wrote a lot of songs. So
And then in 2012, you had a record that had people on it like Ray Parker and
yes, Firefox.
Ricky Lawson and Sicko Bunch. And I mean, what great musicians on that record.
That was the Atlantic record. I had this idea to do a duet with another woman, and it was a group called Firefox. And then Ollie Brown, who was with Rolling Stones, he's a drummer, and he and Ray Parker were very good friends. They had a production company, and he loved the idea. And he introduced me to Toy Overton, who was from Chicago, ironically, and I was living in LA. Where was I at the time? Okay, no, I was in New York at the time. Yeah, so we did Firefox. Yeah, and we did the movie Breakin', and then we did Breakin' 2. Yeah. Oh no, I
And
think it
the
was in, I can't remember.
and also the Tom Scott record too, which is really
Yes.
cool.
Oh, thank you. Tom Scott was that came around. Yeah, that came around 2011, 2012. The Tom Scott record was him and I getting together and just doing a record because he thought a lot of my talent. So we decided to do kind of a jazz record. And we had Bobby Caldwell, we had Will Downing on that. I'm doing duets with both Bobby Caldwell and Will Downing, whom I love both of them so much. They're very different, but wow, it was really great singing duets with especially Bobby Caldwell and especially Will Downing. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and Bobby Caldwell we just lost not too long ago.
Oh, it
Yeah.
broke my heart. Yes. He was so sweet in the studio. He was so kind and generous, And I was like, oh, Bobby, Bobby, I bet you're wondering where I've been. Yeah.
Mhm.
This is Bobby. Oh my gosh, I'm singing with Bobby. I mean, it's so funny. And everybody says that. We didn't even know he was Caucasian. We thought he was black. for the longest time until we actually saw him. What a great, I mean, he just had so much vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, he was totally authentic, like
Sweetheart.
Tina Marie on the other side.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Exactly.
authentic
Oh,
too.
so
Yeah.
many. All in O's. I mean, so many. Yeah. Please.
That record though, you
And
had
you could sing.
the Cool and the Gang cover, Too Hot, and
Yeah. With
Ode
Will
to Billy
Down.
Joe, cool
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, thank you. I love Ode to Billy Joe. I do it in my shows a lot, written by Bobby Gentry. People are always requesting me to do that song, so I do it in my shows. Yeah. I love that song.
Me too.
I love songs that tell stories.
Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of which, the next one was a woman's story. So you're still telling stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I love doing a woman's story. I loved, and I still do love them. We're gonna do another album too. Kamal Kenyatta, who just really celebrates my voice so much. He's always calling me. He thinks I'm a great musician, and he compliments me with that very compliment all the time. And it makes me feel so good because I think he's a genius at producing. He did Gregory Porter, and to me, wow, his production on Gregory Porter is absolutely stunning. And when we did A Woman's Story, I just love how he directed my vocals. You know, he's just that guy. He's to me like what's his name? The directs a movie like Steven Spielberg
Spielberg.
or
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese he's at that in the studio to me. He'll just be very specific and he'll say, leave this in, take that out. And when I listened to it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes so much sense. Yeah. And when people heard my version of So Amazing, you know, I heard Beyonce and I think it was Beyonce and Stevie do it. And then I've heard other people do it, but everybody puts the background vocals in. And Kamal said, we're going to not put any background vocals in. I said, okay, you know, as a tribute to Luther. And everybody just seems to really marvel on my version of that, which I'm totally complimented and honored. Um, when I sing
That
it, I love singing to Luther. Yeah.
yeah, that whole album is speaking to the production, just really
Oh,
classy, elegant, jazzy R&B.
oh,
Um,
thank you so
yeah.
much. Thank you.
And Both Sides Now is also covered on
Oh,
that.
one of my favorite songs. One of my
Um,
favorite songs. Yeah.
and you must really like the Janis Ian tune, right? Because
I've done it. That's another one of my favorite songs. I did seven at 17 and Both Sides Now, songs that tell stories, once again for me. And at 17, I felt like I lived that girl, you know, at 17. So that song strikes deep in my heart. And when I sing it every single time, as well as Both Sides Now, when I think about life and where I am, you know, those songs really do hit me very deep in my soul.
I got to also mention for folks, the Beats Brothers. I really liked Shadow of Your Smile, that live
Oh,
version.
thank you so
Yeah.
much. I love singing jazz. I love when I sing, even when I sing R&B, I may have a jazz approach because I've been singing it since I was a kid. You know, and I've never really thought of myself as an in a box as an R&B singer, as a jazz singer, as a funk singer. I just think of myself as a singer, and whatever the flavor brings to me is what I try to put out. Whatever it is that I feel, I don't think genre. I think, you know, let me just sing it that way, the way it feels. And then the other people, they can put it wherever they want.
Yeah. Well, that way, I mean, it's kind of an honest approach, I think.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
that way people that will love it, they don't even care. They don't even think about it. They just, you know, like I like this because it's jazz. No, I like this because it's a great song or it's interpreted well or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Before I talk about these are the sweet things, I wanted to just get your take on, when you look back, Paulette, what would you say are the most one or two unforgettable, aside from the Sarah Vaughan thing, one
Oh,
or two unforgettable experiences that you've had performing?
well, being on the Johnny Carson show with Johnny Mathis was absolutely surreal. And I remember how it happened. It was so funny because they called me up after we did the rec. First of all, them calling Jack Gold calling me. He had produced Barbara Streisand and all these other people. and him calling me to come and sing on the Johnny Mathis record because they had the track already and everything. And for some reason, I don't know what happened, but it was supposed to be a follow-up for Too Much, Too Little, Too Late for Johnny Mathis and Denise Williams. But I don't know what happened, and I can't say. However, they called me to come and do it. So I think the track was really melodically, and as far as the key that it was in, was more for Johnny and Denise, whereas I'm a contralto. But I was so excited to sing it. I didn't care. I went and sang it with Johnny, and he was so happy with it. So we ended up doing two songs for that album. And I kind of feel like it was a album that they really didn't put much behind as far as promotion. But the fact that they called us to do the Carson show. We did the Carson show. We did Mike Douglas and Merv Griffin. We did those shows. And I was so excited when they called me to do the shows after we did the recording. I called everybody. I was in LA. I called everybody in Chicago, all of my family. I was like, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be on TV. So that was a real surreal moment for me to be on television with Johnny Mathis, who was like one of the crooners of our time.
Yeah.
So,
What year was that?
ooh, 1981, 80, somewhere in there, 81 or 82. I can't remember exactly the exact year, but yeah, it was somewhere around there because it was after Bette Midler and it was before I went on the road with Luther or Marvin. And I was actually recording with Luther Forever for Always for Love in 1981. So all those things kept kind of doing that.
Did you have to do any choreography with Bette Midler, or you just kind of did your
Yes, I
thing?
did. There's
Yeah.
plenty of videos showing it too.
Yeah.
Me, I had a little short afro. I have locks now. I started growing my locks in 1993. But yeah, there was a lot of choreography. We did Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. We did In the Mood where we get on the floor and kick our legs up. There's video on YouTube. Yeah. Uh, you'll see me.
She's a live wire, especially back then.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her so much. Yes. The new album that I'm working on right now, I think is going to be, like a book being a page turner. This is going to be whoa. I feel like everybody's going to really, it's got funk and it's special. It's really going to be special. Yeah. That's
Well,
the one I'm
even
working.
even and these are the sweet things. I mean, so much variety on there,
Yes,
and I just
yes.
love that it has that variety,
Thank
and that it
you.
has all the real instrumentation, and
Yes.
um, I really appreciate, especially toward the back half, you throw in like some serious funk,
Oh,
and that
thank
you
you.
didn't leave it
I
out.
feel
So
you. Yeah.
yeah,
Ivan Hampton and myself, we wrote these songs. We've been writing since we met when he came on board with Luther. We've been writing ever since, and I love writing. I love writing with Ivan. We have good ideas that we put together, and this new album that's coming out is our writing as well. These are the sweet things. I have a special love for that because most of it is all original. Actually, all of it is original. Yeah, original songs.
how long did it take you to create that one?
Ooh, well, I don't know, just maybe a few years over yeah,
Like during the pandemic, working on that?
yes. Actually, after that, we remastered it then. But yeah, over the years, we've always just written and always writing. And so that really happened right after the pandemic. To me, 20 when did it come out? 20 just recently, 2022. Yeah, right in 2022, 2023. Right.
23. Yeah.
Yeah, 23.
And
Listen, I am so like time is flying by so fast that I can't keep up. Okay. I just want to tell you that.
well, let me just say you look great and you sound great. So,
Thank
I
you.
mean, congratulations on that.
Thank
And
you.
on that current record though, Teddy's Got a Plan. You talk about telling a story type songs.
Oh, Teddy,
That
yeah.
one I love because it's funky. It tells a story. It's just
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I love Teddy's Got a Plan. I can't remember what movie it was that I saw. And you remember the guys with the zoot suit would put on the hats and the whole thing? That's when I thought about Teddy. I mean, I thought about, you know, turns on the news to find the weather's fair and he checks out his hair, because he's got a plan. He's gonna go, he's gonna win me over tonight. So that's how Teddy and my daughter actually, she kind of gave me ideas for that song as well. I love Teddy's Got a Plan. I really love that song.
Definitely. And
We're gonna
songs
do a
like
version of that on the new album, by the way.
oh, nice. And songs like Stop and Listen, just really some poignant
Oh,
like lyrics and message,
yes, I love Stop and Listen. We're also doing a version of that on this record as well. Just a couple of the songs from These Are the Sweet Things we wanted to do versions with the band, this band, because this band is incredible. Ivan Hamden on drums, Phil Hamilton on guitar, Oscar Cartaya. All of these guys are top A-list, played with everybody musicians, and Nat Adderley on piano. We have the band. And so these songs are, yeah, I love Teddy's Got a Plan. I love Stop and Listen. Lyrically, I love, what it says because I feel like the world is sometimes it feels like we're just not paying attention, and I feel like it's so important that we do because everyone that you see, whatever it is you see, just you must remember that you can't judge a book by the cover, and um, we're all who we are, and we have to love each person where they are. That includes old and young. So I think it's stop and listen because a lot of times you see older people and people just sort of, that's why I like stop and listen. I think it's so important for us to not only just see, but to really know what we're looking at and hearing.
definitely. You need to stop and listen to that song so you get the message. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just named two of them, and you said that those are going to be on the new record. How many is that all that's going to be on the new record also, or are there
No,
other ones?
no, no, we have some new ones that no one's heard as well. Oh yeah. We have some really good songs that no one has heard. Yeah. I'm very excited.
When do you think summer or fall or
Actually, I think it's going to be released around maybe mid-March. It's Funktify is the brand, and I think it's going to be released around mid-March.
wow,
Yeah.
wow, two records within a calendar year pretty much after, we had to wait
Yes.
so long before.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just so grateful because this particular record that's going to be a Funkify record from Majestic Music is a blessing because it spawned from the record that was released in the UK. These are the sweet things. It was spawned from that. At the same time, we have mostly all new songs, except for maybe three from the These Are the Sweet Things that we wanted to just do again.
And these are the sweet things. There's so much more in, an R&B and funk direction, like I had said,
Yes.
versus the one that came prior, which was a little more jazzy
Yes.
and mellower, I would say overall. What
Yeah.
inspired you to move more in this current direction?
Just seeing that in my mind, that there's sort of a void in the funk factor, seeing that that is what's happening right now. Not very many people are giving us that funk element that we really loved. And to tell stories in that funk element um, is such a wonderful thing to me. And we have a few songs, but we have one song, and a lot of the songs have elements of a little bit of everything, a little bit funk, mostly funk, but a little bit of jazz, a little bit of, added in there so that it is something for everybody. But I think right now, today, you hardly ever hear anything that is funk oriented in the way that we used to get it, like from Bootsy Collins, which is on your shirt, Isley Brothers, yeah, exactly. Confunction, absolutely. Ohio Players, that kind of, but we're making it more today, but with the funk factor. And we call it being functified.
That's the name of the record.
No, no, Functify is the brand, but the record is we don't have a name yet. We don't have a name yet, but we'll know a name before it's over,
I hope so. You got it.
before it's released. We have some songs that we all love so much. There are four of us. Um, Mark Ettinger, these are great musicians. Angelo Montrone, great musicians, and Ivan Hampton and myself. We're all producing it. Yeah.
Wow. I am so glad to hear
Everybody
that.
has
I
a
mean,
great music reputation in the business, each one of the guys.
that's a huge bonus to me because I didn't even know reaching out to you that you had that in the works too. So that is
Yeah, yeah.
amazing. So can't wait
Yeah,
for
big,
that.
big, big thanks, big ups to, Mark Ettinger and Angelo Montrone who wanted to do this. And then, of course, Ivan and myself came forth with the songs and to collectively, we're all doing our input on all the music. It's great. It's so great because they're musicians as well.
We mentioned the pandemic period. I feel like I got to mention also just it was so great how you went on, during that time and, were sharing, your singing with people and things like
Oh,
that. That was
yeah,
just
yeah.
that
Thank
was
you.
fantastic. So
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. I love singing, so it's never, it's just always like I feel more like it's a calling to just really share my feelings about whatever the song is. Yeah.
now
Thank you.
are you still doing jingles at all?
Not so much. I mean, my last one I did was with Kobe Bryant right before he passed, before that horrible accident. But I did a Nike spot with Kobe, where it was right before his last game, and I'm on screen and actually coached everybody that sang in it. He's got one coach, he's got people singing all through it. I had to coach everybody as well as sing in it. It was fun.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
I thought what
are some of your past ones still in rotation?
my past jingles.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I know there were some famous ones like Parquet, Margarine. I don't even know if that margarine is still there anymore. A tasty aid from mother. The package says it's margarine. The flavor says butter. I don't even know if that's still in existence. Um, and then I did donuts. I did Unforgettable. Unforgettable. That was Dunkin' Donuts. And they were falling down the TV screen. It was great. But I don't think they're doing those anymore.
Did they get you motivated by telling you, picture a delectable donut that you're singing to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It made me want to eat donuts. Absolutely.
Wow. So, how can people best keep, tabs on what you're up to and when the records come in and all that good stuff?
Well, I have a website that is paulettemcwilliams.com. And I'm on Spotify. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere that there's music. I'm on everything. I'm on Spotify. I'm on all of the different links that they want to look at. I'm on iTunes. I'm on Apple. I say, "Hey Siri, play such and such." They can say my name and she'll play me. So I'm pretty much everywhere they can look. Just please look and listen.
Are you getting out and performing?
Yes, I'm going to be at the Berks Jazz Festival in April. We're doing Women in Jazz, and I'm going to be doing Jimmy's Jazz and Blues, Scullers, and possibly another festival. We're lining things up right now. LACMA in LA, they've asked me to definitely come and do LACMA again. They asked me that they're so kind. Usually they'll have someone every other year, and they always ask me. So I'm so grateful for that.
Any
Um,
chance you might do some of the newer material in a live setting?
I'm going to mix it up. It's gonna be a potpourri. I'm gonna mix up. I'm gonna basically give a chronicling of my life in music, and I'm gonna mix it up depending on what the venue is. If it's a jazz venue, I'll give more jazz. But if it's a venue that allows me everything, I'm going to put in everything. Yeah.
Wow. So the question definitely wasn't fair about comparing your recent records, but I will say when you look back on it all, Paulette, what are you most proud of accomplishing in your music career, would you say?
Ooh, just growing into where I am at this moment. I really am. Luther played a big part in that. When he told me that I was his sound, I represented his sound. When it came to a female, he said I sounded the most like him as a female singing. Not that I sing like him, I don't. He always told me how much he loved the resonance in my voice, which came from both my mom and dad. Um, and just where I am right now, because where I'm right now is really what's important. And I'm just really grateful to have the energy and to have, just to have the movement and have all the blessings and opportunities that are coming to me right now. I'm really very grateful for those things. And that's where I am. And I mean, I'm always I'll probably be singing on my deathbed, you know. How did she die? She died singing.
Sing your own tribute.
Uh,
Um, it's amazing though. I'm sure you're astounded when you just look back and the path that you ended up taking is just a really amazing, fascinating one.
well, I'm really, really grateful, Scott. It really has been. And I'm just looking towards, I'm here today and looking towards just continuing to take one step at a time and keep doing what I'm asked to do. Very grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the people that I'm surrounded with right now. My manager and the producers and the people that are in my corner, and I just want to really continue to move forward and keep everybody, along with myself, happy, and that's all I want to do.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, of course, but also for all the great music and especially for continuing to bring new music because, it saddens me sometimes when a lot of the artists that I love that are still around are just kind
Yeah.
of just redoing the same old, and nothing new.
Yes. Yes.
I think they underestimate the fact that a lot of their fans
Yeah. Want to hear music.
new
You want
stuff,
to hear
Yeah,
music, of course. Of course, I
yeah.
totally agree. Yeah, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the people that I'm working with right now. They want they want real music. They want me to do real music. So I'm really grateful for, like I said, my manager, the producers, and they want to make it real. They want to make it today, but they also want to keep the elements that were always magical and great in the music. And we want to keep that. That's what we're trying to make sure we keep up that integrity.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paula. It's been a joy and wish you continued success, good health, and everything wonderful for 24.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, look out for the music. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Truth in Rhythm. A big thank you goes out to our guest as well as to you, the viewer and listener. Also, much gratitude to Pleasure for supplying the show's funky opening and closing music. As a reminder, you can always access the complete list of linked shows by episode at FUNKNSTUFF.net. I urge you to support this program and receive the extra benefits along with that by subscribing to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube and sharing it with funk, R&B, and jazz lovers, joining Truth and Rhythm's membership program at Patreon, submitting a donation at FUNKNSTUFF.net, buying Everything is on the One, the First Guide to Funk book at Amazon, shopping at the Funky Things store for cool merchandise at FUNKNSTUFF.net, and linking through FUNKNSTUFF.net for all of your Amazon purchases. In addition, if you're an artist or anyone seeking proven, results-oriented professional marketing, PR, writing, or editing consultation or production, check out the media services section at FUNKNSTUFF.net. Also, I encourage you to drop me a line at scottg@funknstuff.net. I love the feedback, suggestions, guest requests, appearance and sponsorship inquiries, and just talking about my favorite subject, groove-based music. For now, and as always, this is Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, Keep on vibing to the rhythm of the one.